Welcome into the Wiltfong Whiparound with Steve Wiltfong. We are live. Today is Monday, October 20th, and as always, I am your host, Josh Newberg. We got through an incredible week 8. The coaching carousel is spinning, and recruits are starting to look around. A lot of new developments to cover on today's show. Rumors are swirling, and today's Wiltfong Whiparound, it's going to be a good one. So before we get started, guys, do me a favor real quick. Hit subscribe to the Rivals Recruits channel. This channel is going to be buzzing all the way till signing day, so jump on board and hit subscribe. Also, it's a great time to join Rivals today and get 1 full year access to The Athletic, plus all the On3 national and fan site content as well. I will put a link in the description of this here video. All right, let's bring on Steve Wiltfong and get right into it with a huge win for Alabama over rival Tennessee on Saturday. Third Saturday in October, and quarterback Ty Simpson, now tracking as a Heisman finalist. Things are rolling in the right direction, and we got some Bama developments to cover. Steve, we talked a lot about who Alabama is going to focus in on at quarterback, and now coming out of the weekend, they are trending for 2 elite quarterbacks in the 2027 cycle. How did it go down over the weekend?
Yeah, both on campus to watch Alabama get another step closer towards their goal, SEC championship game, college football playoff, ultimately competing for a national championship. And that's what Trent Seaborn and Elijah Haven want to do on the next level. Play at the highest level, play for a coaching staff that can get the best out of them, play in the biggest games and win at that level. And for Trent Seaborn, he was at the win over Vanderbilt, returns for the win over Tennessee. And I think he is trending towards being one of the next prospects to commit to Alabama, regardless of class, sees the offense as a perfect fit for him to come in and distribute the ball to the playmakers and be efficient. And then Elijah Haven, the number 1 ranked quarterback in the country per the Rivals industry, was trending towards Florida coming into the season. But obviously, Coach Billy Napier got let go yesterday. But even before the visit, with the Gator struggles and Alabama success, the relationship with the Tide staff, this was a return trip to Tuscaloosa, the way they developed the likes of Michael Penix, Ty Simpson, players of that magnitude. They see it as a place where Elijah could really, really flourish. And Alabama is leading for him. As Sam Spiegelman first reported, he will be back for the LSU game. He plans to commit in the new year. But right now, Alabama is winning this recruitment, and it is up to the other contenders to change that narrative.
Yeah, and I would say 3-4 weeks ago, Trent Seaborn was probably trending to Miami. Elijah Haven, like you said, I thought when he made that visit, what was it, like week 2 or 3 to Gainesville? I thought he was going to commit on that trip, but obviously things have gotten away from Billy Napier and the Florida Gator program this season, and now trending to Alabama. So, Steve, if it works out the way that you think it's going to work, they would sign 2 quarterbacks in this class?
Yeah, I think that when you kind of look at the way their depth chart is shaping up, they could use 2 quarterbacks in the cycle, and these are 2 guys that they're very high on. I honestly think Seaborn was always trending Alabama with the Crimson Tide being on the gas there. And then Haven is a guy that they've liked for a while. I've gotten to campus before. And Simpson is someone that could go on to win the Heisman Trophy and be the first quarterback to hear his name called in the upcoming NFL draft if he chooses to come out early. Then you have 5-star Keelan Russell competing with transfer Austin Mack. It's hard to imagine a situation where they're both in the program together down the road. You obviously have the 2 incoming freshmen, Taden Kawa and Jet Tamala, who took his official visit over the weekend. So your quarterback room could be looking real young, real quick next year, but also very talented, to use the word stacked. And these are 2 guys that meet the standard that they're looking for. They have the intangibles, the way that they completed at a high percentage, both at over 70% in their junior seasons. They're both winners, have played in some of the biggest games in their respective state. And then they're talented guys that could come in and push the likes of Keelan Russell, push the likes of Jet Tamala and Taden Kawa. And so they're leading right now for both of them. And when you're choosing a place like Alabama, the logo, you know there's going to be major competition, whether that's in front of you, behind you. You bet on yourself. And Kalen DeBoer Coach Grubbs, Coach Sheridan. Those are guys that these guys feel like can pull the best out of them, and the chips will fall where they fall. Right. Trent Seaborn trending heavily to Alabama. Haven leaning towards Alabama right now, but his recruitment still got some time, some visits. Auburn is in the mix. Certainly we'll see what happens at Florida moving forward and the new coaching staff that they get in place. Same with Penn State. Those were two programs that he's visited this fall that have since had coaching changes. LSU will always remain one of the front runners, local program as well. But I like where Alabama stands for both of these young men.
Yeah, really interesting and not a bad problem to have if you're an Alabama fan. Just bring in the best arms we can find in the entire country and let them figure it out. Seems like a good strategy if you can do it. Alabama is. There was a major flip coming out of the weekend on Sunday evening. Edge Corey Howard, who we previewed all week heading into this visit weekend. Corey Howard was previously committed to Georgia. How did Alabama flip him on Sunday?
Well, got him to campus a couple times this fall, but got him in a great environment, got him around a coaching staff that he loves, and he loves the tradition and track record of this program in general. Says it reminds him a lot of Valdosta and the culture that he's in there, and just another experience around this staff for a great game, great rivalry win. He is now in the fold for Alabama, class that ranks number 7 nationally.
Could there be more flips coming for Alabama, Steve?
Well, they're hoping so. One target that they're heavy on is rivals 300 receiver Ja'Sir Rogers. He's committed to Penn State, but the door is open for a few programs since James Franklin was fired. He's also looking at Oklahoma, and he's also looking at Nebraska, but there's some positive buzz about Alabama coming into his official visit for the LSU game. And if Alabama can go out and take care of LSU on the field, this is a guy that Kalen DeBoer, Jamarcus Shepard and company are on the gas for on the recruiting trail, and this thing is starting to trend up in the recruitment of Ja'Sir Rogers.
All right, so those are 2026 prospects. Let's flip back to the 2027 class where Alabama is working toward a top 3 class, currently sitting at number 4. But Steve, who else is Alabama in good shape with when it comes to 2027?
Well, quite a few guys. Let's just focus on the wide receiver position for this episode. Manshawn Sales, number 3 receiver in the country out of Indianapolis. I think that Alabama continues to set the pace in his recruitment. You also have Ohio State heavy, was just at Notre Dame for the second time this fall, visited Michigan on Saturday as well, Texas A&M, Miami, Oregon, Indiana, some of the other contenders. But I think it starts with Alabama at this point in his process. I also think Alabama leads for Louisville 4-star receiver Jahide Brown. He's camped in Tuscaloosa. He visited for a game this fall. Indiana is the other front runner, but I would give the edge to Alabama right now. On Saturday, they offered the number 5 receiver in the country, Keyshawn Bowman from Brentwood Academy in Tennessee. He had a fantastic visit. Alabama has jumped into the forefront of this recruitment as they battle the likes of Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU, Ohio State, Oregon, to name a few others. But Alabama, the way they're recruiting under Coach DeBoer and this staff, the way they're playing on the field, Alabama's a program that you would say is a good bet to finish with the top 5 class next cycle. And they're close to hitting a grand slam at quarterback, trending for Trent Seaborn and Elijah Haven.
All right, Bama fans, big news coming out of the weekend. This is what happens when you start clicking on offense, start winning some ball games. You got some flips, you got some predictions. How are we feeling, Alabama fans? Talk to Steve and I, comment section below. Let's talk a little Notre Dame recruiting because the Irish capitalizes on a huge rivalry win. Recruiting now, I mean, it feels like it's about to explode. New predictions rolling in, lots of buzz coming from recruits at the game. Steve, let's start with maybe the biggest news of the entire weekend. You are now predicting Notre Dame to land the number 1 running back in America.
Over the weekend, I dropped a prediction for Notre Dame to land rivals number 1 ranked running back Kamon Spell out of McKeesport, Pennsylvania. The word used all weekend regarding his visit to South Bend was trending, and he stayed on the Irish campus well into Sunday to spend more time with Marcus Freeman, Jawan Sider, and the Irish staff. Notre Dame was a program that was always in the thick of it for what was a long-time Penn State commitment. And when he reopened the process last week, Notre Dame was obviously one of the programs that you pointed to and would say they had a fantastic chance to land Come On Spell. Then they get him on campus this weekend. He watches Jeremiah Love rush for 228 yards and a touchdown. He is the Doak Walker Award favorite. Jadarian Price, the other standout tailback, who's also going to hear his name called early in the NFL draft. Over 200 all-purpose yards, 87 rushing, 2 touchdowns, including a 100-yard kickoff return for a score. He sees it on the field. He's a high academic kid. Notre Dame checks all the boxes off the field, and he has a great relationship with Jawan Sider, who came from Penn State, now at Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman heavily involved. I like where Notre Dame stands for Come On Spell. They'll need to hold off the likes of Ohio State, Georgia, and several others, but it's Notre Dame trending right now for the top running back in the land and one of the top overall players in the country in the 2027 cycle.
Wow, that's great news for Notre Dame fans. And there was just so much talent in South Bend for this one, and to see a win. I mean, we always kind of say, hey, it doesn't make or break the class if they lose a big game at home, but when they win a big game at home, you can feel it. And there was some 5-stars on campus, including DJ Jacobs, Monshan Sales, and more. Steve, what's the word on these top targets after the game?
Well, DJ Jacobs, Notre Dame is going to be in the forefront of this recruitment till the end. Obviously, he's a Georgia legacy. His dad played for the Bulldogs. Georgia is going to be one of the top contenders for Jacobs throughout his process. Miami, Texas A&M, Oregon, a few others that are swinging hard. But there are folks that spent time with Jacobs and his family on campus this weekend that think that Notre Dame is the biggest threat to Georgia. The Irish also offered his brother, 2028 defensive line recruit Dawson Jacobs. This was a return visit to campus. Notre Dame checks a lot of boxes. They are a fit for this family on and off the field. And Notre Dame's quarterback commit Teddy Gerard, not at the USC game this weekend, but him and his family have been doing their part in recruiting the Jacobs family to Notre Dame. But the Irish's style of play, just the atmosphere and environment around the program and the school. It was another great visit to Notre Dame for the Jacobs family, and Notre Dame is a program to watch moving forward.
All right, Steve, give Notre Dame fans even more reaction to this win over USC. What's going on?
Well, one prospect that's trending to be the next commit to Notre Dame in 2027, they have a top 3 class in 2026. They're at number 9 right now in 2027 with the names they add on campus. Could be another top 5 haul for Marcus Freeman and company. But 4-star offensive lineman legacy recruit James Halter, he was back for a second game this fall. He was offered in September, returned on Saturday. I like the way that one's trending for Notre Dame. They could land 3 prospects out of Rollsville High in North Carolina. 4-star safety Marquise Bryant had a great visit. They're trending up with 4-star receiver Anthony Roberts, and they've always had a great shot at 4-star running back Amir Brown. Now, Brown at one point looked like a Notre Dame lean, committed to North Carolina. He backed off that pledge to the Tar Heels. Notre Dame is no question at the top of his list, but they're also at the top of the list for Come On Spell, in my opinion. And then Noah Roberts, the number 5 running back in the land, visited Notre Dame this weekend. And I like where that's headed for Notre Dame as well. So it'll be interesting to see who ultimately ends up in the class at the position for Notre Dame. That's 3 good ones. Notre Dame had their top 2 tight end targets on campus in 2027. Jackson Dollar, Seneca Driver. I think Notre Dame is setting the pace for both of them. And one more name, Josh. Number 1 defensive lineman in America in 2028, Marcus Fakatu. He's been to Notre Dame a couple times already. Feels like home to him. If he was deciding right now, I think Notre Dame's the program that's in the lead. USC, Oregon, other schools will work to change that. But I like where Notre Dame stands, setting the pace for Marcus Fakatu.
Yeah. Hey, Steve, what do you make of the Marcus Freeman rumors? I mean, with the Penn State job opening, with the Florida job opening, we're seeing those writers putting Marcus Freeman's name on their hot boards. Is this a consequence of just getting this Notre Dame program heading in the right direction, or do you think there's legs to some of this?
Well, that's how the people that put together those hot boards view the status of those programs. I'm not sure Marcus Freeman views Notre Dame as a stepping stone job. It's a program where he is a tremendous personality fit It's close to where he grew up. It was one of the programs that he strongly considered when he went through his own recruiting process. Now, who knows what these other jobs pay? You heard the Sabins, Terry Sabin, and them talk about $50 million for the Penn State job. Well, that would make anybody raise an eyebrow. Now, she was saying that in joking and said she hadn't seen a contract, but it would be surprising to me if Marcus Freeman left Notre Dame, a program that he had on the cusp of winning a championship and a program that fits him so well.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. I mean, I'd be surprised if he left, but it's almost also like when you have a commit list full of 5-star recruits, of course other teams are going to try to flip those recruits, come after them. If you weren't recruiting at a high level, if Notre Dame wasn't playing at a high level, his name wouldn't be popping up. So we'll see what happens there. But Notre Dame fans, talk to Steve and I. How we feeling coming out of this USC weekend? So much good recruiting news to come. It just feels like Notre Dame recruiting is about to explode. Talk to us. Comment section below. All right, let's talk some Michigan recruiting as the Wolverines are not done adding to their 2026 class. Big win on Saturday, pushing Michigan to 5-2 with a quality win over Washington. Steve, let's get into it. Who are the flip targets trending to Michigan right now?
Well, Michigan has the number 11 ranked class in the country right now in 2026. They finished number 6 a year ago. They certainly have a chance to push into the top 10 in this cycle before it's all said and done. Offensive line is a position of emphasis for the Wolverines right now. They'd like to add 1 to 2 more. They had Duke commit Sean Stover on campus this weekend. They continue to give him a lot to think about. They're also high on the list of Virginia Tech commit Adrian Hamilton. That's one that also looks to be trending in a positive direction. And over the weekend, I predicted Tomlin to Michigan. He is a Miami, Ohio commit from Chicagoland, but has a lot of high upside traits. There's a lot of connections to the Wolverines program with Tommy Froman, and I think he ends up at Michigan. Then we'll see if Sean Stover and or Adrian Hamilton also ends up wearing a winged helmet. The defensive back position is also a position of emphasis for Michigan, Sharon Moore and company right now. And I'm getting closer and closer to predicting Michigan to flip 4-star Jam Vincent from Baylor. He was offered this fall by the Wolverines, has already visited, and the dialogue remains strong. Now, Michigan's certainly still big game hunting at the position. Guys like Devon Benjamin, Rivals number 1 ranked corner, committed to Oregon. They're also taking a swing at Havon Finney, who is committed to LSU. But I would say right now, Vincent is the best bet of that group to end up in Michigan's class. Linebacker, also a point of emphasis for Michigan. 4-star DQ Forkba is someone that's always had a keen eye on the maize and blue. They'll keep shooting their shot with Nick Abrams, the Georgia commit. He's been on the Bulldogs campus twice this season, including the win over Ole Miss on Saturday. That's going to be a tough flip. They've given Braylon Hodge a lot to think about, a former Michigan State commit. They're battling Texas, Oregon, and Mizzou for him. But Michigan, quite a few names out there, and they'll continue to evaluate senior film. So it wouldn't be surprising if some more names popped up for Michigan, a program that's 5-2 right now. They got a true freshman under center, a lot of young guys making an impact. They're looking to try and return to championship form, and they're giving these kids a lot to think about.
Steve, tomorrow is October 21st. Did you know that Bryce Underwood flipped to Michigan on November 21st? So tomorrow we're 1 month away from the year anniversary of Bryce Underwood flipping from LSU to Michigan. And we're already seeing him on the field making an impact. How has his play impacted Michigan recruiting, specifically when it comes to 2027s?
Well, I think that top prospects in the 2027 class believe that Michigan is a program that can compete for a national championship. And a lot of that reason is because of Bryce Underwood and his play. And when these top prospects come onto campus, how available Bryce Underwood is, how bought in he is into helping recruit these younger players to come play for the Maize and Blue, it's really big, and it's resonating with some of these top guys. Quentin Burrell, a top 10 receiver out of Chicagoland, Mount Carmel High School. Michigan, at the very least, is in his top 2. I think they're battling Notre Dame. They could be leading it. His sister plays soccer at Michigan. He's already been up twice this fall. This was his first game there this season. And Sharon Moore, Coach Bellamy, that coaching staff making him feel very comfortable. Matthew Gregory is an explosive receiver out of Pottstown, Pennsylvania, at one point trending Penn State. Obviously, some coaching changes there. It's opened the door for programs like Michigan to make a move. He had a great visit this weekend. Monshun Sales has always had Michigan in his lead group out of Indianapolis, one of the most coveted pass catchers in the country. And then, of course, Dakota Garant from in-state. If Michigan's not leading that, they're in the lead group for Dakota Garant. So these guys see the quarterback. They've all talked about it. Bryce Underwood, someone that they would love to play with as a true freshman. So his play on the field is certainly resonating with elite prospects across the country.
All right, Michigan fans, how are we feeling? Hot start, 5-2 right now, and recruiting is rolling. Talk to Steve and I about your top targets on the recruiting trail. We got an update, Steve. Rivals updated the Rivals 300 rankings for the 2027 class on Monday, and I want to talk to you about some of the top uncommitted five-star recruits in America. Texas Tech's Jalen Brewster is the number one. He tops the standings, and he is committed to the Red Raiders, but number 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all uncommitted, as well as 6. So we are going to talk about 5 uncommitted prospects. Let's start with the number 2 rated recruit in America, offensive tackle Mark Matthews.
Well, the first program I think of when you're talking about five-star offensive tackle Mark Matthews is Miami. He's a South Florida product out of St. Thomas Aquinas. Mario Cristobal has been known to pop into those hallways, but he's already been to a couple Miami games this season. The way they developed the offensive line position, the level of play, the trajectory of the program, I think it's Miami setting the tone in that one. Now, Florida State's done a great job building a relationship with him. The results have not been on the field. Ohio State's a dark horse in this recruitment. Mm-hmm. He's had great visits to places like Notre Dame and Texas A&M, but I like where Miami stands early for Mark Matthews.
Yeah, some of these guys have been hitting the road, already able to kind of get a feel for who leads or who trending in some of these recruitments. Let's go to the number 3 rated prospect in America. He's also our number 1 corner, Joshua Dobson.
Well, the first 2 programs that come to mind for me, for the number 1 corner in the country, Joshua Dobson, is Tennessee and South Carolina. And he's going to be back on both campuses over the next 2 weekends. He'll watch the Gamecocks host Alabama this Saturday, and then he'll get back to Tennessee for the Oklahoma game in 2 Saturdays. Oklahoma is also a program on his short list, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, LSU, to name a few others. But Tennessee and South Carolina have done a fantastic job recruiting him from a relationship standpoint. And those are 2 programs he's very excited about right now in the fall.
Yeah. All right. Let's move down to the number 4 rated prospect in America, John Meredith. He's the number 2 rated corner.
I think it's Texas A&M setting the tone for John Meredith. And the Aggies look to be on the short list for a lot of these 5 stars and players ranked in the top 15 of the Rivals player ranking update. But John Meredith is one that I've already logged a prediction in favor of the Aggies for. Was recently back on campus, been there a few times, loves the coaching staff, style of play, where they're at as a program, and he's built some great relationships with the players and guys committed in the 2026 class, including Brandon Arrington. Alabama's probably the biggest threat. Schools like SMU are also in the mix for John Meredith, but I like the way it's shaping up for Texas A&M right now.
All right. Number 5 recruit in America, Easton Royal, also our number 1 ranked receiver.
Yeah, so Easton Royal is someone that is excited about several programs in the SEC and in the Big Ten. Obviously, in-state LSU is going to be a major factor in this recruitment, but so are the Texas Longhorns, who he'll visit the first weekend of November. And then Ole Miss is a program where he's got great relationships with that coaching staff, loves their offense, and loves where Lane Kiffin and company are at as a program. In the Big Ten, Ohio State is a program that's a factor, and he's got upcoming visits to USC and Oregon in November as well.
Now, the 5th uncommitted prospect in the top 10 is number 6, Albert Simeon, the number 2 ranked interior offensive lineman in America.
Yeah, my Rivals Prediction Machine forecast is already on Texas A&M. He's been to 2 games inside Kyle Field this fall. He's been to College Station a few times already. Loves the coaching staff, Coach Elko, Coach Cushing and company. Feels very comfortable at Texas A&M. He said earlier this season they're setting the pace, but other programs are giving him a lot to think about. Certainly LSU will do what they can to keep him in state. He's got a lot of love for the Tigers. Nebraska, he's been out to Lincoln a couple times already. Likes where things stand with that program. And then Notre Dame is an upstart. Had a great visit to South Bend a couple weekends ago, and Notre Dame becomes a program to watch for Albert Simeon. But Texas A&M is the one setting the tone right now.
All right, Steve. Like I said, these guys are all over the place. 2027 recruiting used to kind of start after signing day, but we are in the throes of it. I mean, top guys are committing. Top guys are taking visits. Hell, it's almost time for top guys to start flipping those original commitments. So do you have any more buzz for us when it comes to the best of the best in the 2027 class?
Sure, rapid fire, 5-star offensive tackle Kennedy Brown. You got Tennessee, Texas A&M, a couple programs that have emerged there. Ohio State will be another team to watch. Come on, Spell, number 1 running back. My predictions on Notre Dame, but Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, USC, Nebraska will be some teams to watch. How about the number 1 linebacker in the country, Cooper Witten? I think Texas A&M, Oklahoma, and Tennessee, where he is a legacy recruit, are 3 that are very prominent in that one, with Ohio State and Clemson also battling. The number 11 edge rusher Jaden Bryant lists Texas A&M, South Carolina, LSU, Alabama, and Miami as some early favorites. The number 1 safety Kamari Dorsey is going to come in on November 1st. I have a Rivals Prediction Machine forecast in for Texas A&M, and then Monshun Sales out of Indianapolis, one of the most coveted players in the country, wide receiver. I would give the edge to Alabama right now, but Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Indiana, Texas A&M, Miami, Oregon going to have a lot to say about that as his process continues.